Babe, it says I'm live. Hang on. It's coming on. I'm just shouting at the missus. It's always someone else's problem.
That's about right.
I've got to make sure that I've got massive feedback here. So I'm probably going to go with earphones. Baby, can you help me out here, please? Yeah, I've got my microphone. Anyway, listen, this is 2027, and this is going to be college football for the next hour. The whole of the USA is just about to go tribal, and you do not know anything like it. The beauty about me being involved in this for the last 20 years is that you get to actually understand and know who knows what. So hang on a minute. I've got my little earphones as well. Hang on, babe. I can't sit like that. I'm gonna do it like sitting over here. Little mechanical problems.
Small.
That's not gonna work. Hang on. Why don't I just get up and help you? There we go. Anyway, so as I was saying, you can hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. I hear you perfectly, Flash.
Nothing's coming through my ears, so this one? Just bear with me, D. One, two, 1, 2. You can hear me, D?
Yes, I hear you perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll just... D, have you got me on a phone or anything?
No, I got you on the laptop. Laptop with the microphone.
No, it's me. I'm talking.
We have a guest appearance.
Yeah, we do. From the producer. There she is. So as I was saying, anyway, over 20 years of covering all the different sports, then I get to know and who is who you actually. I don't need them anymore. Oh, that's perfect.
There we go.
Let's see. Thank you very much, producer. Thank you. That's what you get when you don't practice and set up properly and rely on and don't ask for help. So basically, listen, let's start again. We've got the 2027 championships starting this weekend, and the whole of America is going to go completely bonkers. And it will be a marathon, not a sprint. Let me introduce my star who I lean on because he's been around the block a few times and he's still standing, smiling, and pumping out the winners. So FiveStar in Vegas. I'll be calling him D for the rest of tonight. Yeah. D, how are you, mate?
I'm good. That's my nickname for my buddy. We go back a long time. I always have a lot of love for Flash at his other place. He was kind enough to give me an opportunity as one of the few brothers that were allowed to cover tennis. And I'll always be grateful to you for that, Flash. You're really a good friend of mine. We've kicked it in Vegas several times, man, and I look forward to you coming over again, man, getting out of South America and coming out this way.
Yeah, listen, it's a mad old week because first of all, it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Thank you.
A birthday week, obviously. Yes. I hope you've had a really good time. I hope the family are well, but the family are always going to be well if you're pumping out those winners. There's a lot going on with the championship this year. Wide open. I've never known it be this wide open. I think it's like plus 600 the field.
Yeah.
But what do you think about like the old NFL players coming back, or some of the organizations or some of the programs spending 50 million?
I have no problem with them turning into the minor leagues. It's basically been the NFL minor leagues for the last 30 years. Like, we're going to just be honest about it. It's just that before players were getting paid under the table, now they're getting paid across the table. That's the only difference. What I do have an issue with, and my school, I love the LSU Tigers. If you know anything about me, and you do, you know I'm a big LSU guy. I went to Grambling State University, but I grew up as a child watching LSU. We love Louisiana State University in my house, and I'm a diehard fan. But I am a little bit upset with the fact that Lane Kiffin is winning by any means at this point, because I don't like that they're signing an NFL guy, even though he might didn't get any snaps or anything like that. They actually are doing it in football and in college basketball, as the kid Luis is coming to play basketball over there for them. So we're getting a side-eyed, really. It's kind of hard right now being an LSU fan, especially with everything that just happened with the Jaden Daniels news and how the fan base kind of turned against him for Lane Kiffin not keeping a promise that he made to him and his team, that they weren't allowing the number 5 to be worn again since Jaden won the Heisman. But getting back to what you said, I don't agree at all with the NFL players. If you declare as a professional, you're a professional. You have no place, in my opinion, coming back to play on the collegiate level. And it kind of really all started with COVID, when you think about it, Flash. And it's gone just crazy right now with them extending these kids' time. You got one kid who's been in the college football for 8 years. That is ridiculous. Like, it takes shorter time to become a doctor.
Yeah, it's a great link you've given me there, because the prototype last year was Indiana, and they had majority of seniors.
Yes.
So, I mean, they had obviously the brain matter, the physical, the knowledge, the experience. And I'm not seeing at the moment, obviously we'll get the DNAs in like 4 and 5 weeks time, but I'm not seeing anyone go that same route. Why are they not doing it if Indiana did it so well?
Well, teams are, and the transfer portal is so vast now. I can't name off everyone who transferred, how many seniors, how many fifth-year seniors. I could just tell you like this. There are some teams that are being built that way, including Indiana again. That's kind of Signetti's way of catching up that program. As you know, he was very successful at every stop that he's been, starting off at James Madison. I've been following him since there, after he left from being, I believe he was offensive quality control guy for Nick Saban at Alabama. He ends up going over there to James Madison, turning that program around, and then they give him a shot at Indiana. Everybody thought that he would be a one-and-done guy there and take the Michigan job, but he ends up staying there. But he's kind of mastered the transfer portal, and it's a lot more than just grabbing seniors. And he talks about it all the time. Signetti would be a hell of an NFL scout. He has a great eye for talent and for guys that work in his system. He also has a program that's his and his own. And even though the guys that came over him had a lot of experience, he developed them. So I'll give him that. And I'll be very interested, because we're going to talk a little bit later about the game in Ireland that kicks off week 0 with TCU in North Carolina. TCU's old quarterback, Josh Hoover, is now the quarterback in Indiana. And he's going to be following up Mendoza. And a lot of people believe he might have the same type of effect on that program as Mendoza had. But the funny thing about it is that him and the head coach for TCU have been having a little back and forth about Hoover, with TCU's head coach saying that Hoover was a turnover machine. They're not going to miss him. And then Signetti clapping back saying, hey, he was a turnover machine in your system because, 1, you guys don't run the ball, 2, you don't have defense, and 3, it's not developed properly. So we'll see who's right on that. I have a lot of respect for both coaches.
Yeah, I've so many questions, because obviously that's what we have to do. We question ourselves, and then we look at everything, and then we see exactly how they're going to stand up. So I don't know if I'm looking for receivers. I don't know if I'm looking for running backs. I don't know if I'm looking for a strong D that stay in games, because first of all, I'm going to put up this graphic, because I think this says everything about this year's championships. So we've got the Ohio State at plus 600, Notre Dame 600, Texas plus 650, Oregon plus 750, and Georgia plus 8. There's like 7 teams under plus 1,000. Can we put a line through any of these straight away?
I've been digging deep into it. You know, when we're betting futures, from our experience, Flash, you always want to find value. You never want to take the one with the smallest number, meaning Ohio State. Notre Dame, I can see why they are in the position they are, and it's simply by the schedule. With Notre Dame being an independent and still somehow being able to get around from joining the conference, it is crazy because their basketball team is in a conference. They're in the ACC, but I don't know if it's the Pope or whoever. Notre Dame's football team does not have to be in a conference. They're independent, so they kind of pick their own schedule. And a lot of people who don't want to add, if you already got a tough schedule like the SEC has and the Big Ten, who wants to add Notre Dame as the extra game, right? So I can see them at 600. Texas is once again the same thing as always, a bunch of hype, even though I do have a lot of respect for the program, a lot of friends that played over there. Sark is a really good offensive mind. It's just that Texas is never too buttoned up, and I think it has a lot to do with the campus life there, man. Going to Texas and being a football player is like being in the NFL. I've been down there with a lot of buddies of mine. Austin is a real happening town, a lot of fun things to do, a lot of stuff to get your mind off of football. And sometimes they have so much fun and get caught up so much in the local fame that I think that on the field they tend to lack. But they have the money, they have the boosters, they have the pub, they got those beautiful burnt orange jerseys, so they're always going to be talked about highly. They do have the top receiver in the portal coming over there in Cam Coleman. I think he makes a big jump from what he did at Auburn. Oregon is the most complete team. Now it boils down to, can you trust their head coach? You know, like that's the thing about him. We know he's a kind of party guy. Kind of makes sense. I don't know if you saw the interview at all that he had when they won in Penn State. He was having a good old time, like one of those boys who had been down the roads out your way, right? So you heard the story about in Penn State about what was going on with the fraternities and stuff. But that's the thing. Can Dan Lannon buckle down and grow up and lead this team to what it's supposed to be? They have the top quarterback coming back in Dante Moore, who will probably be the #1 pick. Great defensive players, those beautiful uniforms, all the money that Phil Knight provides. So Oregon, I believe, out of the top 4 would be the best option for me at 750. Georgia's always good. You got to trust Kirby Smart. Indiana's the defending champion. Now, can Josh Hoover get out of his old ways and start protecting the football? Miami is a great pick because they're hungry from last year. They got the running back Mark Fletcher coming back. They did lose some D linemen, but in Southern Florida, man, they re-up on D linemen the same way like you go to the store and buy milk. It's always available. So I'm sure they'll be okay with that. Their head coach, Cristobal, is a guy who went to Miami, played ball in Miami, loves the school, loves the culture, great recruiter. Darian Mensah comes over there now. Can he do the same things that they got out of Carson Beck when he transferred from Georgia? Can he do the same things that they got out of Cam Ward when he transferred over there from Washington State? That's the key with Miami. But they do have a very, very good schedule that they can run the table with. Their schedule is very light. LSU is the unknown. They have the best value at plus 1,700. But as we were talking about with the transfer portals, now can you get Lane Kiffin coming in a spot where he has unlimited bankroll. He can get any player that he wants, but can he get them all to mesh and work together? Now, Sam Leavitt was a really good quarterback at Arizona State, got them to the national semifinals, and Arizona State is not a team that's known for that type of success. So you know he's a special player. Just can it all come together? I really like their tight end, Tre'Davious Green, and the defense is outstanding. They still have their same defensive coordinator coming back who's a really genius. He's a guy who had a job at Tulane, ended up turning it down because LSU could outpay him. So I'd say the value picks are Miami at plus 1,000. I just think LSU is too young right now, but you can never do wrong putting a flyer.
Well, that's your heart talking.
Yeah. Well,
that's because you're LSU inside deep.
Well, I picked them actually to win the SEC at plus 800. You know, so that's some information that I gave out when I did my masterclass last week. But I did take them to win plus 800 just because I think this is a down year for Alabama and Ole Miss due to their schedules.
Are you worried about the schedules in the SEC, though?
Yes.
It's like you're playing like 6 or 7 national championship games.
Yes, that's why Ole Miss I expect to have a down year, and I expect Alabama to surprisingly have a down year, especially with them naming Keelan Russell as the quarterback. He's a freshman. It's a lot of it's a step up from playing out there, and I think he was in DeSoto. He was in DeSoto or Duncanville and outside of Dallas. But he's a really good player. one day might be a Heisman Trophy winner, but I think he has a lot to learn still. But my investments out of looking at this would be in, you got to go with Notre Dame just because you're getting a hedgeable spot, because I see them easily getting into the playoffs and in a real favorable position with their weak schedule. Oregon is the most talented, so plus 750 would be a shot for me. Indiana, you got to trust Signetti, so 9-1 is always good money with him. He has a really good history with veteran quarterbacks and being able to get them right. And then Miami, as I said, at plus 1,000 is a good. Once again, they have a really, really light schedule.
Can you put a line through? I like, the reason I like this team, first of all, they're on the right-hand side, so their number starts with a 2. So basically, I've got Texas Tech. Now, my philosophy, my strategy is always take a team that I know that are going to be there in the playoffs. Then I'll hedge. Like last year, I've had Notre Dame last 2 years. Yeah, and it's like I have to wait until I get a situation. I had Georgia, and then they ended up playing, and it was like killed me because I had no hedge. It was like one of my worst years last year because my two teams, they were banging heads.
Right.
But when I look at this in the Big 12, there's no reason why Texas Tech are not winning the Big 12 because they've only got to come up against the BYU. For me, that is just them or Texas Tech. Agreed?
I think I got a little pushback on that. And the reason why
Come on, then.
Well, Texas Tech, now you have to deal with this situation with Texas Tech. All right, you got a quarterback over there who's coming off an injury. We know that this kid can play, but that's why they just signed Tommy Castellanos. Castellanos is undersized quarterback, but a playmaker. He was at Florida State last year. But they're going to lean on the fact that they had Brendan Sorsby. I know you heard about that story about him. He ended up not being eligible because he had a problem with gambling and stuff like that. And I think they did the right thing, the NCAA, by not allowing him to play because this kid was gambling on everything. So he couldn't be trusted, to keep it as a pure product, or at least present itself as a pure product. They have Will Hammond. Will Hammond won a high school championship in Texas. He came in that Utah game and played really well. That was the biggest game of the early part of the season for the Big 12 championship. For who would decide would win the Big 12 championship. They were on the road. He had a dominant performance, ended up getting hurt. I don't know if he's played enough ball for me just to trust him in that way. I don't know if he deals well with Castellanos coming in. And also, why did they sign Castellanos? I know they didn't bring him in as a guy who started at Boston College and Florida State to sit on the bench. How quickly can he adapt to that team and what they do? He did beat Alabama week 1 last year with Florida State. So we know that he can play. BYU, I would not sleep on them. They have
listen. You know me. I listen because again, you stay in your lane. But if I'm hearing you right, then I jump off of Texas Tech because BYU 550 are too big.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Texas Tech because this is being based on the portal. They have a really great coach in Joel McGuire. What he's doing in Lubbock, he did the same thing in high school. Took a team that didn't have any history and built them into a year in, year out powerhouse. But I care about quarterback and head coach when it comes to these things, right? And I think the best combos in the Big 12 at quarterback and head coach are at BYU, at Houston, and at Arizona. I would put Texas Tech behind all three of those teams. And I'd even say Utah. The only thing I worry about with Utah was their head coach is first-time head coach, a defensive guy, but I do love their quarterback. But Texas Tech's head coach McGuire is more of a defensive-minded special teams guy. He's not an offensive guy, so he has to trust his coordinators. And as I said, Will Hammond hasn't had a lot of snaps. I know they got a good program over there, but just in value, I'm not taking -1 for your team for the whole season.
No, well, I'm not now. See, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
It's one of them. If they're going to go and win. But I might as well bet Texas Tech at more than -115 in any certain matchup if I think that they're going to go and win down the road. I've got quite a few things going on in my head, and I want to know when we see loads of big spreads, right? Week 0, I've seen 30s and 40s. If people want to get involved in them type of games and they are like, do you go first half or do you go full game? Because it's one of those of, is it tight early and then the cream rises to the top? Or do they come out and they blast them and then it's all about the W?
Well, it's a game-by-game situation. It's a lot to do with you knowing the coach and how the coach usually starts at the beginning of the year. For instance, Florida State has a huge spread this year, but their head coach has been known for starting fast and kind of fizzling out at the end of the year every year. They beat LSU twice at the beginning of the year the last couple of years. You know, they beat Alabama last year, but they tend to fizzle out as the year goes. So he would be one of those guys who I would look to early, maybe first half, because he has that reputation. Well, some of these teams, they have to let the game play out. So it's a by situation type of thing. It's not something that you just know. Me, I tend to lean on when I think it's a huge advantage for a team. I like team totals better. If I know that a team has a clear advantage offensively and they're an offensive-minded team, and we know with today's system, teams that are playing lower quality teams, they want to put up points and look good. So I'd always go with the team total on the favorite if I'm in that situation more than trying to rely on laying the spread.
Or the team total under of the opposition, especially if your main weapons are running game, kill clock, don't give them many possessions.
Well, I've always been a guy who does overs. If I'm going to bet a total or on team total or for the game, it's overs because it's too hard for me to sit there and try to hope that a team doesn't score. You know, it's very difficult in today's landscape when all of the rules are set for offenses to entertain the public. You know, that's the whole purpose of the rule changes that we've seen. You can see all day a receiver can run down the field, push a guy out of bounds and catch the ball. It's no flag thrown. If he defensive back barely touches the receiver, you get a holding or interference, illegal contact. So with that said, I'm always leaning towards the over. So it would be the over on the favorite.
Listen, come over to the dark side. Honest to God, you're like sitting there, and the amount of bad beats I hear from people, because this is another thing about the early weeks. Be very selective and go and watch the teams that you're interested in, because we've got plus 600 the field. You can then go and probably get, if you pick out the right one and you pick out the winner, you're probably going to get just a good of number in 5 or 6 by week 6. Yeah. Because, I mean, you look at Indiana last year, they were under the radar completely, and they just were far superior.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at all these teams, and they're so much of a muchness because we have different styles. And it's like, as we say about the SEC, that's now become a complete minefield. So now I'm starting to think, well, maybe I need teams that are going to be able to maybe coast through and have a sprint finish rather than have 7, 8 battles during the year.
Right. I can understand that. And I can see why Texas Tech, but I'm a guy like this. I'm always a contrarian. I hate when everyone's on one side, and all you've heard from the media when it comes to college football is how Big 12 is Texas Tech. They're going to walk through it. I don't believe that. I think Satake is a really good coach at BYU. I think that Bear Bachmeier is a very underappreciated quarterback and a winner. So I think that they're going to be really good this year. As I said before, do not sleep on Houston. Do not sleep on Houston, man. They have some real weapons coming back over there. They have a quarterback who started at Texas A&M, found his footing now at Houston. He's a local Houston-born Connor Wegman. I think that he's really good. And if you look at Willie Fritz's background as a coach, usually his 3rd year is when all his teams pop and they win their conference. So I think that Houston has the talent and the bankroll to play with Texas Tech.
Yeah, and H-Town just obviously always has to have a mention regardless of any sport, any conversation.
Well, I'm tied in with that program. I get a lot of information out of there, and I'm hearing some great things about.
Yeah, well, that's always a bonus when you're betting them, and that's just like an added star.
Yes.
If you're actually going to go with them, then you know that you're going to be ultra strong, because there's nothing worse than going with a team you're so close to and then they let you down as well. It's like a double whammy. It's just there's no future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, talk to me about this, because this is we're going to get a little bit further into the futures now, and we've got Arizona 7.5, and it's at plus 109 going over. We need 8 wins out of Arizona.
Yeah, I think they can get it done. Anyone who's followed my show, The Wagering World, on YouTube, they know for many years I've had a lot of respect for Brett Brennan, who's the head coach for Arizona. He started out at San Jose State. At San Jose State, they had a really losing program over there, man. They were like the doormats of anybody you name could pull up to San Jose and get a victory. But he changed all that. It gave him a lot of pride, got him to their first bowl games. And from there, he ends up going to Tucson and coaching this Arizona team. Arizona was a team I bet a lot of money on too as well, with Jed Fish was there. Now Jed Fish is at Washington, but his star quarterback stayed behind, finished his commitment to Arizona, and that's Noah Fafita. He's a 5th-year senior. He's been starting the last 4 years for this team. Put up some really good numbers last year, 3,228 yards, 29 touchdowns. He does have Trey Spivey coming back, who's a really good receiver, and he's also had some guys from the portal like Chris Hunter, Giovanni Richardson that's over there. The main thing why I like Brett Brennan, he always has a sound defense. Last year, they led the entire FBS with 2.4 takeaways per game, and they had 22 interceptions, the most in FCS football. So I really like them, man. I think that he's going to have them prepared. I looked at their schedule, and I see 8 to 9 wins on their schedule. I'm always looking for the plus money. You know that about me, Flash. I don't like to lay juice. I feel like VIG is the killer to anyone who's trying to get a bankroll.
You need 2 winners for every loser just to break even.
Exactly. There you go. That's the simplest way to put it, Flash.
Yeah, it's no good to no one. Now, obviously, I'm exactly the same, and everyone will enjoy the Premier League on Friday night, right here on Gordon Watson Live on Kick. Okay, so the other one that we're going to get our teeth into is Boise over 8. I always like when there's no hook involved.
Yes,
because it's one of those that I'm already knowing the worst case scenario. If I'm putting my money down, I'm going to get a push.
Yes. And the 27 cents is probably worth it. I bought them at 8.5 or 9 at plus 135, just because when I looked at their schedule, they may start 0-2, but then I see them ripping off 9 straight wins. They are going to the new Pac-12, and the new Pac-12 is really, really sad when you know about the history of the Pac-12, like I do as a guy who's been watching college football since the late 80s. I show my age right there. You know, I've been watching since the late 80s. I was a weird kid. I was a child that loved listening to Keith Jackson. And while all other kids were outside playing on the playground, if they didn't want to play football, I was inside watching football. So I'm really familiar with the Pac-12 brand, and to see where it went and how high that it had gotten to, and then to see it disbanded like it did over pennies, because it was only like, I want to say $10 million or something out of a $150 million deal that they had with the TV networks is the reason it disbanded. Well, Washington State and Oregon State took the other members who left to court, got the rights to Pac-12, and they've rebuilt the Pac-12. And it's some weird
how many wins are they going to need to win the Pac-12?
Boise State?
Yeah.
7. To be honest.
So you could go with a little bit of an insurance policy, because they're plus 110 to win the Pac-12.
That's easy money. They're going to win the Pac-12. They're going to win.
So there's our first winner.
That's one I'll throw in. That's a situation where I trust what's on the side of the helmet more than everything else in the conference. And they have Spencer Danielson coming back. He played for Boise State. He's carried on the tradition of a really tough defense and a good offense that runs the ball strong. They're always good in the trenches. They dominated the Mountain West for years before going to this new Pac-12. But I like their quarterback a lot, Maddox Matson. He's back. Little undersized, but he's a redshirt senior with a lot of starts on this belt, man. I just think that they're a lot better than all of the competition. The toughest game I feel that they're going to have in conference will be San Diego State, and they get them late in the season on the Smurf turf, which is a really tough environment. You know that blue turf is really hard to come in Boise, and you know it'll probably be snowing and windy and cold, and you got these kids coming from San Diego State. They're going to be just ready to go home. So I really like Boise State to not only win the Pac-12, but also to go over 8.5 at plus 135, or you could take the the safe way and hedge it a little bit the way that it's up right now with 8 and just pay the 27 cents in my
I just knew that you would go big on so go big or go home, and then plus 135. But if you've got them to win, mathematically, if you've got them to win the Pac-12, it's giving you a free hit on the 8.5.
Exactly.
Now, and also, if you think that they're tough 2 games opening up, do you take a pull? Because obviously the number then will obviously inflate.
Well, they're going to lose their first game for sure. They go to Oregon next week, so they're not getting out of there. But they might cover. They have before when they went to Oregon a couple years ago. They covered and were impressive. But they also had Ashton Genty at the time, so I don't know if their current offense has such a dangerous weapon as that kid was, because he's different. But they have a sound program, so I see them losing to Oregon. Then the next week they have Memphis coming to them. Now, they may win that game, but I just said they could go on to, because Memphis, I have a lot more respect for people than most, because I like Charles Huff, who's the new head coach that's coming over there from Memphis. He was at Southern Miss, and before that was at Marshall. He's a really good coach, man. And he'll have them ready to play, but it's probably a letdown spot if we do it and think, kind of look ahead. Let's say that Memphis covers or loses a tight game to UNLV. Then they go on the road to Boise State, and Boise State comes from getting massacred, in Oregon. I'd say advantage Boise State, right, from coming from getting their head beat in, and then now they're at home on the blue turf.
Yeah, it's one of those, if you're happy with the plus 110 for the Pac-12, you take it, or maybe split it 50-50. If you're going to go with Boise State and put 50% of your stake down at plus 110 and see if the books have already built in that defeat against Oregon, and then maybe you might get, I don't know, plus 120, plus 125. Or just bite the biscuit, be happy with 110, and it's done and dusted, and you've just got the season to see out. All right. So, no, Boise State, San Diego State, they're around plus 470 for the Pac-12 as well. Okay, well, it is week 0 this week, so we are going to need to put some money in our pockets. Yeah. So let's start off with this one, because this one is Memphis versus UNLV, 4.5. Memphis plus 4.5. Now, is it about the W first game up? So all these hooks and these, 4's an important number straight away. UNLV under 56.5. Memphis at plus 170, though.
This is going to be a very popular late night game, right? And we know UNLV has a huge fan base here in Vegas since things have kind of turned over with the Fertittas taking over the program and getting in a really good coach now that they have, and is now a second year, Dan Mullen, who had great success with Mississippi State and Florida before getting into the broadcast booth for a little while. And now he comes out, and why not live in Vegas? It's the greatest place to raise a family, in my opinion, as I'm right here in Summerlin, Nevada, and I'm never going anywhere. But UNLV will have a lot of money backing them. I'm going to be contrarian on this game. I'll be one of the few people who gives Memphis a shot in this one at plus 4.5, just because I like everything at Memphis. Traditionally, they have a lot of speed on the outside. They usually have a couple running backs who are pretty good, and they usually have a defense that flies around. The main thing that I like about them this year is that they're bringing over, as I said, Charles Huff, who I have a tremendous respect for as a head coach. I think he'll have those guys ready to play. This game is really big for both teams, because not only for them, but for their conferences, because most likely these two conferences will be battling it out for that last spot in the playoffs. So not only is this going to be something that's going to be really, really important to the teams, man, both of their conferences, Conference USA and also the MWC, the Mountain West Conference, will both need them to play big in this one. So I like Memphis with the points. I like their new quarterback that they have coming in. He's a dual threat guy. He kind of reminds me of Trinidad Chambliss, who went to Ole Miss. He was a guy, Trinidad Chambliss came from a little small school, won the Heisman in Division III at Ferris State, gets his opportunity with the big boys, and he looks good. I think the same we can expect right here out of this kid, Marcus Stokes. 3,297 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, and a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is equivalent to the Heisman Trophy in Division II. He'll be a new starter. He'll bring some splash to the play. Another thing, UNLV, throughout Dan Mullen's tenure there and even before him, has not been really known for defense. Like, they won't outscore you. They're not have a lot of guys who are going to get a lot of stops.
Memphis are going to be around team total of 26.
Who's the team? Memphis' team's total of 26?
Well, yeah, it's going to be, if the number's 56 and they're plus 4.5, it's going to be around 26, 30 and a half, you know?
26, 27 and a half. I definitely look towards that, but I definitely like the points. At first, I was looking towards the total because these two names automatically say points, but it's something baked in this line that, you know, the thing that the books have on all of us is information. So when it comes to betting any football games, and especially ones like this is going to be the prime time game everyone's watching, because the USC game isn't going to be a close game at all. As you see, they're going to be laying a lot of points. This is going to be the game that they're going to marquee as two programs on the up and up. You got both these programs have been really good the last 2 years. I had the record. Yeah, the Tigers are 29-10 in the last 3 seasons. The Rebels are 30-12. So they've been really successful the last 3 seasons. This is going to be the game that's pushed by the networks, and a lot of Vegas money is going to be on it because how many sports bettors live right here in Vegas are going to back UNLV. Going to be contrarian. If the line looks funny, it's probably money. Is one of my favorite sayings. It's no way that UNLV with the home advantage and with Memphis retooling everything, bringing in practically a brand new team, should be laying less than 6 points. You would think that this line would be 6.5 or more. So the line is baked in, is telling us that it's going to be a close game, in my opinion. And I think that what people are sleeping on is Memphis has a good secondary. All of the guys that were at Southern Miss with him came over. They only allowed 13 touchdown passes last year, and they picked off 26. They had 26 interceptions. That's a really good defense. And they're going against a quarterback who I'm not high on. He was a guy that I told everyone the last 2 years to fade. First, when he was the quarterback at Oklahoma, and then after he transferred to Auburn. That's Jackson Arnold. He's a guy who he patterns himself after Baker Mayfield, but he's a little bit slower than Baker, a little less shifty than Baker, and can't throw near about as good as Baker. He's a guy that locks into one side of the field. He's a one-read guy. He's undersized. I think that Memphis can make him turn the ball over some because his athleticism isn't going to be enough for them to continue to just allow him to run the ball or for him to make second reaction plays. So give me Memphis plus 4.5 on this one. Yeah,
it might be a bit of a trend. Take the points early on because listen, and how many times you get done with it if you lay the points and you get done with a garbage touchdown, it's unbelievable. You could be up by up by 11, and then you end up winning by 3 or 4, and you think, oh my god! And it's amazing. Listen, they're not guessers. These money makers, they know and they are right on the button.
They're right on the button. And then you get upset because you called it on the money. 11 points, then they go for 2, and all the money's in question on the 2-point conversion.
No, exactly. It's amazing how you have been cruising for the first 3.5 quarters, and then because the game effectively is won, and especially when you have this is a thing about every sport when you're dealing with kids, they celebrate before the medal is won mentally. Very few go and run right through the line. Now, running through the line is taking me to my next game. North Carolina versus Horned Frogs, right? 8.5. Now, all of a sudden, I'm loving that hook.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good right now. This game is in Ireland, all right? The last 3 seasons, the dog has won outright, and I've had the dog all 3 times in this matchup. I know that each game is different and all of that stuff right there, but I just think that, especially since it went to 8.5, at 7.5, I was a little leery because in the past, 7.5 is always equal to blowout. It seems like 7.5 are always begging you to take that hook. The 8.5, I love it because I think that North Carolina has an opportunity to win this game outright. They have Bobby Petrino now as the offensive coordinator. Bobby Petrino is a hell of an offensive coordinator, former head coach at Arkansas, former head coach at Louisville, former head coach for a brief minute with the Atlanta Falcons, and he left them. He didn't even tell the team. He just left, and then he got in some trouble when he took over at Arkansas for messing with one of his assistants or something, got caught on a motorcycle with him. But he's a great offensive mind. He knows how to put guys in position to win. You got a quarterback coming over there in Edwards, who was the starting quarterback at the beginning of the year for Maryland, ends up getting hurt or something, and then they have a really good backup in Malik Williams, who ends up becoming becomes the quarterback over there, and he's a really good player. He got in a little bit earlier than they expected, but Edwards is a very, very good quarterback. He's not like some slouch that they're throwing out there. You look on the other side with TCU, Sonny Dykes likes to throw the ball around, and he has a kid in Jaden Craig who's coming over, who did numbers at Howard, but he's playing in the Ivy League. And now he's going up against an aggravated Bill Belichick, who's probably all year been in there with the hoodie on and talking about they forgot about me. You know, in Bill's mind.
And second season as well. So a lot of the good habits that he would have been installing would be second nature now.
Yes, exactly.
And another thing, 46.5, that total's low. That means North Carolina or the Tar Heels are not even expected to get 20 points.
That's not going to happen with Petrino at coach. I'm telling you, I'm taking North Carolina money line on this one at plus 250, me personally.
Do they hit 20 as well, Dave?
Yeah, I can always catch up during the game live. That's the great thing about live betting. If it gets out of hand one way or the other, you can see what's going on, feel the tempo, get your investment back. But you can't beat plus 250 out the door on two new quarterbacks. You got a coach that I know, Dykes is a very smart coach, but he's not anything like Bill Belichick if his team just listens. You know, that's the key. Can they do the things that he teaches them? And I think that he's getting more and more guys in there to do that. I think that he doesn't like that he was a laughingstock last year, man. You know, Belichick has a lot of pride in his work and the stuff that he puts on the field, man. He's been a winner everywhere he's been his entire life. Last year was the first time they got a chance to laugh at him and point fingers at him. I think he's going to come out with vengeance this time around. And his problem last year wasn't the defense. The defense was okay, but he's going to be taking over calling plays. His son was calling the plays at first. He was trying to set him up for an opportunity. Yeah, he was trying to give him an opportunity. He's a little spoiled kid. He's been riding his dad's wave. You know how it is with your kids when you're very successful. It's rare that you find a kid who's as successful as his dad. Most of the great kids come from dads who were just okay and put a lot into them. When you have guys who set the level so high, a Hall of Fame coach like how Belichick is, I'm sure the kid would never seen him when they was growing up, want to hang with him. He's gone coaching football, or if he's not there, he's selling or something. He grew an entitled life and just wanted to be a coach. And Belichick tried to put him in position in order to, I'm a coach 2 or 3 years, but after I retire, I can give my son this job and let Steve run it. But it didn't work out. I think that he's going to take more hands-on approach to calling these plays on the defensive side this year. And I know this first game, they're going to be really, really intense and coming to play as you see by the total. The total tells you everything. TCU is known for what? Scoring points. And the total is only at 46.5. They're saying it's going to be rainy over there in Ireland. So it might be rainy. The conditions might be windy. You know how the turf isn't that good there. Probably going to be a lot of slipping. So it's going to turn into just a between the lines type of game. And I trust Belichick.
Yeah, I wrote field position game. Belichick just love it. And there's no home field advantage neither. Exactly. So I then think coaches, preparation.
Yeah.
Who's been there, seen it, done it? Who's going to be asking them just to do their job?
Yes.
The most famous quote he always says, do your job.
That's his favorite
thing.
That
means the under. I'm not going to go under.
Yeah.
But, I mean, whenever there's a number that's so surprisingly small, I'm going to take the points every day because they're telling you that points will be at a premium. Well, just say that Carolina go ahead in the game, you're already maybe 2 scores up.
You're already 2 scores up. And it's just, once again, Jaden Craig coming from the Ivy League to playing at this level is a huge jump, man. Now, I know I talked about the other kid who's coming from the Division II school, but he's going to outside the Power 5 conferences. He's playing at UNLV and Memphis is a whole different ball game and level of play than when you get to the big boys, the Power 5 conferences like North Carolina and TCU are. So he's not going to be used to the type of schemes that Belichick is going to show him. He's going to have him really confused out there on plays that he know he has to pass. They have to watch Jeremy Payne, the running back for TCU. He's good. If they can't stop the run, it's curtains for Carolina. They have to stop the run. If they stop the run and make it where TCU has to throw the ball around, I like North Carolina to get this one done straight up at plus 256.
Another thing from Belichick, take away their strength. Take it away. That's exactly what he does. Take it away. Field position. Be patient. And you just frustrate everything that it's in his whole rule book before he goes to bed every single night. So, so I got this right. You're going to have a bit of the 256 because you're a greedy man.
Yeah.
And you want to be rewarded for being right, which is always the way to be in our game. Yeah. We want to take the 8.5 as well. I mean, I wouldn't put anyone off having the 8.5 and maybe having 50% more on the money line, because it's almost like giving you that free bet. I'll leave the total alone because it's too skinny, you know.
Yeah, and then you could also think about an alternate line too. Alternate lines are really good ways to go with it too. That way you can kind of get within a number. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. What's the alternate line on this one? I believe it's pushed up. See, I love it. This game is going crazy right now. That's 9.5. It's been bet up to in Vegas right now, which is a great thing for me. So let that money keep flowing in on.
What is it juiced at 9.5?
No, it's -110.
Wow, it's right on the shift.
Yeah,
they did get to Ireland all right, didn't they?
Pardon me?
They did get to Ireland okay.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope the travel arrangements went fine, but for whatever reason, it shot up to 9.5. But another thing to remember, you have some bettors who are going to go by what they saw last year, and they're going to say, you know what, TCU is a better program. Carolina sucks. I'm going to catch the 7.5 now, and they loaded up on it. And it's a lot of big betting money coming out that region in TCU too, with the Fort Worth, Dallas. It's a lot of money in Dallas, a lot of guys to bet. So it's been some heavy bets. Let it keep coming. I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger yet because it's going on up. It's +275. I might have to tap out and go ahead and snatch some of it right now because I don't want to start back going the other way. You know how they'll do it. They'll run it up, and all the money will still be on that side, and then all of a sudden the books will know something and start moving it back, and then we might be at 6.5 before the game kicks off. So this 9.5, if you can get it right now, guys, lock that in. I love that 9.5 points with North Carolina.
You know, I'm never a man to get in the way of his price, his favor, and obviously his money. So let me just run through this really quickly. We're just going to go through with Oregon +750, Miami +1,000, and if you're biased and you obviously want to go with your team, then LSU. Then the Big 12, we're going to fade Texas Tech. If they win, they win, but they're not carrying any of our money. Then we're going to have Arizona State 7.5 at +109. Boise State 8.5, over 8.5 wins at +135. Well, I wrote down here, though, Boise State a +110 just to win the Pac-12, and pay the juice, -127 on 8 wins will basically give us the push. And then we're going to take the points with both Memphis and North Carolina. Now, before I say goodbye to D, I'm going to let you know also that it's the Tour Championship Golf Eastlake in Atlanta. Rory McIlroy, I've bet at +850. Burns at +2,000, got her up at +2850. The big money is on Rory at +850 this week to bring it home. And also, just as a future, my first future this year on MLB, I've gone with the Rays to basically win the AL over them Yankees at +370. Don't be going yet, D. Tell them, everybody, how they can get hold of you.
And I like the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox might get it done. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. Are they coming in as a wild card in Major League?
Did I ask you to put a pin in my balloon?
I think I do like the Reds. I haven't been keeping up with baseball as usual. I loved baseball, but man, as a professional, I have to pick one and ended up with tennis is all I've been doing all summer. Hey guys,
that's all I ever do. That's all I've ever done. But for the first year, I've done no futures whatsoever. I went and watched the Braves game live, and I will say, and I'm going a bit off piste here, I will say that I've been to nearly every sporting event in the world, and I mean big sporting events. I think that the value for money and the crowd participation and the crowd involvement, it was the best I've ever been to.
Oh, that's
it really was.
That's a lot saying that. All of the beautiful football stadiums you went to over on your side of the world. So that's a strong statement. Okay, man, I'm on the wagering world. you'll see me on there twice, 3 times a week. I do the show when I choose because it's mine, but it's been around now for 5 years. We give out the most winners for free in all the podcast world, especially on football and on tennis. Football and tennis are my loves, and those are the things that I push on that show. So go to the Wagering World. You can Google the Wagering World. It'll pop right up. It's also on YouTube. Go subscribe now. I have a new show that's going to be coming on ESPN 97.5 in Houston, but it will be on all the ESPN platforms and on Twitch. That's going to be on this Monday, August 31st, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 4 p.m. if you're Pacific Standard Time, where I am on the West Coast. And it's called Double Coverage. Me and a good friend of mine, Brian Sarge Bearfield, he's an insider with the Texans and the Rockets, has a better relationship with pro athletes than anyone that I know in the media. He's going to be getting the exclusives for us, all of the good information, and we'll be just breaking down Monday Night Football for you guys, and also just talking about the week in football, not only that passed, but the one that's coming. It's going to be a really entertaining show. You guys make sure to tune into that one. And if you guys need any of my services, I also do a private consulting business. Just give me a call at 702-527-8470. That's 702-527-8470. Hit up some of my operators, leave your information, and we'll talk.
Yeah, make sure you follow him on an X and drop him a DM as well. So listen, that's been absolutely brilliant. You've been watching Gordon Watson live on Kick. On Friday, we will be, fingers crossed, family have not been well, but Prophet will be hopefully coming on. And then we'll be going through everything over the weekend with Nikki and the Premier League. And I'm going to probably have, and I'm going to be bold here, I think I'm going to have 4+ money winners and 2+ money parlays, and they will be here on Friday waiting for you at 8 o'clock Eastern. D, much love to the family. Hopefully we're banging the winners, and we'll see you on here again very, very soon.
Very soon. Whenever you need me, give me a call. You know that, Flash.
Hey, much love, and make sure you go and get that 9.
Always.